In the 70s and 80s, huge billboards featuring the likes of the Doors, Alice Cooper, and Bruce Springsteen lined the Sunset Strip.
And today, most of the rock and roll billboards have faded away, but the images have not been lost. We got a new book, and it commemorates those iconic pieces of art, and they were pieces of art. It's called Rock and Roll Billboards of Sunset Strip. Joining us is photographer and author Robert Landau. Robert, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Now, you've been taking pictures of the Sunset billboards for decades, and you compiled them into a book.
Yeah, I actually began as a teenager. I happened to be living right near the Strip, and I was just getting into photography. And I'd wander down to the Sunset Strip, and there would be John Lennon 20 feet tall. So I started taking pictures of the billboards as a teenager. And I also noticed at the time that these things were hand-painted. Everybody assumed they were photographs, but they're all hand-painted because if you went out early, you'd see them installing the billboards panel by panel, and then the guys touching them up or painting them.
Wow, and we see some examples of that. So you started with the Doors billboard, and there's so many interesting stories, I guess, behind some of these. Tell us some of it.
Well, if you look at the cover image, which is the Beatles, that was for Abbey Road. That was 1969. That board went up on the Strip, and if you look at it, you see the heads of the Beatles extended above the top of the frame. Well, some kids, as a prank, got up there and they cut Paul's head off. Oh. So Paul's head was missing, and Capitol Records called, and they said, what should we do? Should we replace it? And the art director thought about it. He said, no, leave it like that, because at the time, there were rumors that Paul was dead. So they left it like that, and it got a lot more attention. Well, the book comes out a couple months ago, and I decided to have a contest and say, what happened to this head? And I offered a free book to anyone who could provide the head, and the guy who took it called me and said, I have the head, and he had it hanging in his...
God.
He's had it all these years, and thanks to him, a little piece of that history has survived.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Because otherwise, they're all painted over.
That's amazing. Now, Bruce Springsteen's billboard got vandalized too, but the guys who did it weren't a bunch of kids.
No, these were not kids. I found out recently that Bruce Springsteen himself led his band up onto the roof of the building it was on. He wasn't happy with the way his face looked, so he went up there with his bandmates, and they graffitied it. They wrote "Prove It All Night" over the billboard.
Wow. And then Pink Floyd's billboard turned a few heads.
Yeah, I mean, the great thing about these billboards is they really didn't have to sell anything. They had this tremendous latitude, so they broke all the rules of advertising. You can see there's not a single word of copy, so nobody outside of Pink Floyd's fans had any idea what that record was for. So that was the great thing about these billboards. They were really, pieces of art.
Different era and really interesting. All right, Robert Landau, thanks very much. The book is called Rock and Roll Billboards of the Sunset Strip. It's sold at your local bookstores via Angel City Press. He also has a Facebook page, which we've linked to our website, so you can get that at KTLA.com.
So what are you taking pictures of now?
Now I do a lot of travel stuff.
Okay.
Travel.
All right, Robert, thanks very much.
Thanks.
We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back.